A week had gone by, with Piccolo forced to watch as Gohan faces off against the Cybermen, though failed miserably to do any real damage. The kid was beaten and bruised, left crying for his daddy. Big Green would have stepped in if he could, but neither Nappa nor Vegeta would allow any interference. In Vegeta's mind, if this runt couldn't take care of a simple Cyberman, then he was of no use in fighting that Cell monster. Just for reference, this happens around a year earlier than in the original story, meaning Gohan is only 3, so he's hardly able to take care of himself. Despite this cruelty, Nappa can see some potential in the kid since he managed to survive against the Cybermen. Raditz simply has his arms crossed and is watching the fight, though says nothing. Finally, as Gohan is cornered, the Cyberman uses its acid spray on the boy. Piccolo, despite knowing it'll anger the Saiyans, teleports in, using his cape and arm to take the acid while launching a blast from his mouth that eviscerates the plant. He's left injured and winded from using such a powerful attack, but he's glad Gohan is okay. This feeling doesn't last long though, as Nappa steps in and begins teaching Piccolo a little lesson. They allowed him to live since he was powerful for a Namekian and knew about the Dragon Balls, but that didn't mean he could do whatever he wanted with no consequences. Nobody seems to care or bothers to help Piccolo out, something that angers Gohan on top of seeing his dad's friend, and somebody he considered like an uncle, being injured. As Nappa was repeatedly stomping on the slugs, he suddenly felt the head of a small boy slam directly into his chest. Now, it doesn't quite stun Nappa like it would Raditz, but it does cause some damage, something the others notice. The brute is about to start beating Gohan, angered at being hurt by such a weakling, but Vegeta stops him. "Nappa, if this boy was able to hurt you, what does that mean? That he's been holding out on us?" Nappa held Gohan up by the collar, preparing a punch. "Possibly, but there's something else. His power is obviously linked to his anger. If he can learn to control that power, he'll be even more powerful than Raditz, and someday even surpass you, Nappa." Vegeta laughed a little, grabbing the boy himself and stating that he'd make a man out of you, or Gohan. Come on guys, I just had to make that joke. Anyways, Vegeta begins personally training the boy, telling Nappa to make sure Raditz and Piccolo are prepared to provide backup whenever Frieza arrives. Now, the brute isn't feeling so happy about a kid replacing him, and so chooses to take it out on his 2 students, though this only allows them to grow stronger in turn. Raditz, being much younger and not able to run, means whenever he gets beaten and then healed, he grows much stronger. Meanwhile, Piccolo isn't a stranger to fighting a stronger opponent, and this Nappa guy had nothing on Cell. Sure, this guy gave Piccolo some bad vibes, but Cell was terrifying, being able to easily deal with anything the Namekian could cook up, while Nappa had flaws, such as not having infinite stamina or the ability to regenerate. Eventually, the two were able to take on Nappa, even beating him in a fight around 6 months into this endeavor. By this point, the Dragon Balls had been gathered, and apparently some guy named King Kai was training Goku, while Kami trained most of the humans, just in case. Gohan had also vastly improved, having been put through a grueling training process by Vegeta, isolated by the prince in order to make sure nobody else could baby or protect him. Honestly, Gohan's training is pretty similar to how it went with Piccolo, though Vegeta is much less friendly and hardly holds back, making sure the boy knows just how strong he is every time they spar. However, all this brutality makes the boy improve himself, using his hatred of Vegeta as a motivator, promising he'll surpass the prince and give him a taste of his own medicine. This excites the Saiyan, who tells the brat to bring it on. That'll have to wait though, as Kami, and Piccolo by proxy, warn the Saiyans that 5 pods have arrived on Earth. They figure this could only mean one thing: these must be the Ginyus. There were 2 possibilities here. 1, the Guineas were sent to soften them up before Frieza arrived, or 2, they were sent to take care of the Earth, while Frieza goes to Namek himself. Either way, it wasn't a good sign, but it was better than fighting the Iceling alone. If they could defeat the Ginyus, they'd have a way off of this rock and would be one step closer to Frieza's level. Unfortunately, the Saiyans had gone through most of Korn's senzu stash and had no beans left, leaving their power nowhere near close enough to beat such powerful beings. Vegeta had the highest power level here, being near the 50k range, while Nappa was at 25k, followed by Piccolo and Raditz around the 24k range. Well, the Saiyans always had that trump card up their sleeves, so they'd happily take on such a challenge. The Ginyu Force arrived in, what do you know, a rocky wasteland. Once exiting their pods, they were met with the sight of 4 Saiyans and a Namekian. However, several humans soon made their presence known, along with Qui, who had disappeared soon after training began and sported a new visor. Vegeta was surprised such weaklings would make themselves known, telling them to not get in his way or there might be some friendly fire. I'll show you, Vegeta. Don't think I've been idle this whole time. I've been training just as hard as you. Qui steps up to his old rival, getting ready to fight alongside him. And don't count us out either. This planet is our home. Kami told us everything that's been going on, and we won't let some aliens cause chaos if we can help it. That's the operative word. If. Nappa put his hand on Krillin's shoulder, pushing him out of the way before aiming his fingers up toward the sky, about to cause a volcano explosion, only stopping when he realized the pods would be destroyed as well. Ginyu attempts to taunt the Saiyans for trying to pull a fast one on Frieza, but they aren't interested in talking. They waste no time rushing the Ginyus, only for most of them to easily dodge or even counterattack. Seeing just how outmatched they are, the humans elect to stay back and hatch some sort of plan, while Qui does the same, though Piccolo notices something. The catfish seems to have an earpiece on and is almost receiving instructions from someone. It would seem Big Green is getting some benefits from that Namekian hearing of his. He doesn't elect to say anything though, since the Ginyus are by far the more important issue. Raditz attempts to fight Goldo, who somehow keeps teleporting around, though this seems to really tire him out, while Vegeta and Recoome are duking it out in the middle of the battlefield. Piccolo tries to stay back and help coach Gohan, telling him to watch the fights and learn about their opponent's moves, but Captain Ginyu takes interest in the Namekian. You there, Piccolo, is it? You know if you just allow us one little teeny tiny wish, this can all be avoided. We'll simply wish for Lord Frieza's immortality and leave Earth. Simple as that. The captain makes his way across the wasteland, getting a little too close to Piccolo. No thank you. I'm sure the only reason I'm even alive right now is due to that fact I can talk to the dragon. Once you have your wish, the Earth will have no other uses for you, and we'll all be destroyed. Piccolo uncrossed his arms, taking his weights off and preparing for a fight. Alright, have it your way then. Ginyu snapped his fingers and the blue-red combo of Jason Birder rushed in, smashing a fist and knee into Piccolo's stomach before throwing him towards their pods. Ginyu tells them to finish off the rest of these rebels while he interrogates the Namekian. The two use their scouters and determine Nappa is the strongest there, only for Qui to step in and challenge Jace to a fight. The Red Magma chooses to indulge his request and accepts, while Birder fights Nappa. Jace assumes Qui has gotten a little too big for his britches since the alien was still young and had risen up the ranks in a short amount of time. He teaches this traitorous catfish a lesson with his Crusher Ball. He casually fires off the Key Sphere only for Qui to stick a hand up, catch the attack, and within seconds, it had disappeared, leaving a smiling purple catfish. Jace is left dumbfounded and simply thinks he didn't put enough power into that attack, charging up a much deadlier Crusher Ball, one that even he wouldn't be able to stop. However, once this one is launched, it too disappears. Jace is about to charge in and attack, but Qui is faster, teleporting right in front of the red magma and punching right through his stomach. Birder, who had just finished demolishing Nappa, sees this and tries to rush in, but Qui dodges his kicks and is able to keep up, albeit barely. By this point, Raditz has caught up to Guldo, but the two have stalemated since Guldo has him by the tail, while Raditz has a Shining Friday charged up in his face. Vegeta managed to defeat Raccoon with some dirty tactics, but it took everything out of him, so right now, all eyes are on Qui. Everyone is astounded that he could keep up with the blue blur, but Gohan had been watching the entire time and wonders what the little red beads on his hand are for. Had he used those to absorb that ki? And if so, does that mean he could absorb all of Birder's power? It would seem this was a plan since Qui continued to try and grab the blue blur, though he was too slippery to properly pin down. Finally, when Birder becomes annoyed at how fast Qui has become, he uses his scatter to ask Ginyu to attack from behind, while he distracts the catfish with a series of blasts. While this does work, as Ginyu was able to deliver a pretty serious blow to Qui's back, this does also power him up. So, as Qui falls to the ground, he launches the energy gatherer directly at Birder, eviscerating him in an instant. This leaves Ginyu and Guldo, of all people, as the last surviving members. The captain is annoyed since he'll have to find and train up new recruits, and settles on taking his anger out on the remaining rebels. However, all these distractions allow Vegeta to create a fake moon, throwing it into the sky and transforming before the others. Raditz wants to look as well, but with Guldo holding his tail, it wouldn't be such a good idea. However, Nappa and Gohan both begin transforming, something the Horned Captain wasn't exactly prepared for. Vegeta begins attacking Ginyu, who's forced to use his body swap on the prince, though without proper training, he's unable to control the form and begins going berserk. Gohan too loses control, forcing Guldo to use his time ability to dodge, though he makes sure to yank off Raditz's tail since that guy was a real jerk. The battlefield becomes utter chaos as Nappa battles to get Ginyu under control, while Vegeta, in Ginyu's body, tries to explain what's happened. This is where the humans come in clutch, as while they're rather weak, that just means nobody has paid any attention to them. Using Raz to distract Gohan, Krillin is able to chop off his tail pretty easily, though Ginyu and Vegeta's body proves to be a little too fast and wild, making it difficult for Krillin to aim properly. They don't exactly want to kill the Saiyan, but then again, this guy did threaten to end them earlier, so... Either way, it's Qui who comes to the rescue, jumping onto the giant ape's leg and holding on for dear life, slowly draining his ki. It takes a while, but with the captain tiring and Nappa holding him down, Krillin is able to chop off that tail, causing Ginyu to revert into his base form. What the? Vegeta was the strongest you guys had. How could you? Ginyu looks up towards Nappa, instantly attempting to swap bodies once more, only to have Vegeta jump in the way. Ginyu, now in his original body, tries to swap once more, but Nappa simply swats him onto the ground before stomping on him, squishing the captain like a bug. By this point, Raditz had caught up to Guldo again, and this time, without any tail to worry about, exacted his revenge. The Saiyan trio are all feeling a little worse for wear, but they survived. However, everyone has some questions for Qui, namely why they couldn't sense his power, and how he was able to threaten Jace and Birder, of all people. I can't answer that, Vegeta, but just trust me. It's all in service of taking out that Cell guy. Speaking of that monster, Piccolo picked himself up, regenerating some injuries inflicted by Ginyu. Where is he? I can't sense him or that girl anywhere. According to my intel, he's off-planet. Qui tapped his visor. The group now noticing it looked like a modified scouter, but slimmer and more advanced. Far, far away from Earth, on a planet called Namek, Frieza was raiding a small village of Namekians, talking to their elder named Mori, or whatever. Honestly, he was just going through the formalities as a sort of game, an attempt to show these people that diplomacy was an option. However, when a giant bug creature appears and immediately begins sucking his men, absorbing his men, yeah, that sounds better. The Emperor is perturbed, to say the least, and disgusted at the act. He assumes this creature is another Namekian and tells Dodoria to get rid of it, only he, too, is absorbed. Zarbon is up to bat next, and well, he doesn't fare very well. This time the Menin is turned into candy and eaten by some pink monster girl. Okay, since the Ginyu seem to be busy, I suppose I'll have to do this myself. Beware, creature, my power level is over 20 times that of those two. Be prepared to experience pain the likes of which you've never even fathomed. Frieza stuck his hand out to fire a death beam at Cell, however the bug's tail struck at him with blinding speed, and within an instant, his arm had been lopped off. Frieza begins to scream in both surprise and agony, as this was something he had never experienced. In fact, something he had never even fathomed. He instantly transforms into his base form, but this is still nothing, and the Emperor is pummeled and humiliated. Soon, Cell has him on his knees, with a heel on his crown.
It seems you've learned a valuable lesson, that there will always be someone stronger than you, Lord Frieza. Now that you know your place, I will make things very simple for you. You will not come back to Namek. You will not search for any other Dragon Balls. And you most certainly will not kill the one named Goku.
Frieza looked up towards Cell, his red eyes burning with fury as he tried to stand up, only to be shoved back into the earth.
What you will do is travel to Earth and fight the Saiyans there. Make sure to take out all your anger on them, torture them. Simply do what you do best. Oh, and if you don't do this within the next couple years, I will find you and end your pathetic life.
Cell took his foot off of Frieza, walking off and trying to rein in 21, who had gone feral and was turning the Namekians into candy. However, the Emperor would not take this. He powered up into his 100% form and charged up the largest supernova he could, throwing it down towards Cell. The Bugman simply grabbed 21 and teleported behind Frieza, kicking the Emperor into his own attack before watching Namek explode. Oh well, the android gave him a chance, though he knew the Emperor would survive this and come to Earth anyways. With that, the two androids flew off back towards Earth. And that is where we'll be leaving things off for right now. If you guys enjoyed this part, then perhaps you'll enjoy another What If all about the Saiyans. But even if you don't, thanks for getting to this part of the video. You guys have a good day or night wherever you are. That's it for now. Bye bye.